President, distinguished participants, and thank you for the introduction, I must say. It's an honor to be here and talk from the perspective of a local community looking up to the perspectives that we are presented here today. So it's a little bit of looking the other way around. I represent a few Northerners, but as you can see in Longyearbyen, we have the self-confidence of true Northerners, right? We look upon ourselves as a center point for the new Arctic. Longyearbyen and Svalbard is a very interesting place in the high north, on top of the world, of course. And we have on 78 degrees north with a society of approximately 2,200 in an international Norwegian community. And also we have our Russian neighbors underlying Norwegian law, but Barentsburg is approximately 400 people there, which we cooperate with. And also we have a really splendid, as he said, societal or research society in Ny-Ålesund, and we also have a Polish research station in Hornsund, so it's quite a diverse society on the high north. One of the things that we have as well is that we have this fully developed infrastructure and the services offerings. Paul Wassmann has written a book about Svalbard life, and he states that the living in Longyearbyen is not merely excellent, it's breathtaking, and I tend to agree with him. We have 14 nationalities. We have the Svalbard Treaty defining the activity how people can come to us and actually do activity in Svalbard. And we have 44 countries signed the treaty, but still we have we open for everyone who actually wants to come. The story of Svalbard and Longyearbyen is quite interesting. It's been human activity for 400 years. It started with the Basques and the Spanish and the Dutch coming and hunting. And then the Russian came in the 20th century, and then the Norwegian came. We came late, but we came good. And also the treaty was signed or defined in 1920. And it's very interesting because the treaty defines very early on that the environmental focus is a very important part of the Norwegian ownership of Svalbard. It's also stating that as part of the Kingdom of Norway, of course, and equal rights for citizens, for signatory nations and all others as we treat it. And all taxation is to be used locally, and it's also a non-military area. And of course, the responsibility for the environmental protection is very high, and we're very proud of that. Well, what has the community then achieved? Existing businesses for research and university institutions and research environments in Longyearbyen has developed knowledge and competence for Arctic operations, creating a base for new businesses possibilities, including maritime activity and mining. I will come back to mining shortly. The Svalbard Treaty imposes the obligation on Norway to protect Svalbard's natural environment, also leading to the concern and protection between resource extraction, ice and snow covers, and effects on Arctic organisms and key species, together with other protective actions. The development that we're doing now on tourism, business, harbor, and society in the context of this environmental protection is very interesting, and it's sometimes also challenging. But you know, challenges are for overcoming, so I'm told. Svalbard today, we have a quite active business community as well, maybe surprisingly active, being so high north. But what's very interesting is that we have 2,600 residents, and also we have, as you can see here, the mining sector is kind of interesting, and it's kind of a carrying part of the activity so far. We're born from coal, we used to say. John Munro Longyear, who came to Svalbard and Longyearbyen from Boston as a tourist with a German ship in 1901, he found that he found the business opportunity in coal. He came back in 1906, and then he opened the first coal mine in Longyearbyen. in 1916, the Norwegian government took over that would then had been like a few coal mine activity opening there. So it's interesting also the relation between business and tourism, starting with the first coal miner coming as a tourist before he started his work in Longyearbyen. We have now Store Norske. It is coal mining, as you all probably know. There is some challenges now with the prices in the coal market, but what we see in Longyearbyen and for the development that we are doing now, we find that Store Norske and the coal company is a very, very important industrial engine for also other technology and development that we have a possibility for developing in Longyearbyen. So it's not necessarily that coal will be a part of the future, but the competence and the knowledge and the know-how that we have defined it through these 100 years of industry will actually be a very important part of the further development of Longyearbyen. So we're moving slowly, and then the opportunities will tell us where we're moving against. The new Arctic world. As you can see here, we have tried to identify the perspectives that you've been talking about and will be talking about during the whole weekend. 3 key drivers behind the new Arctic: the ice melting, of course, the technology development, and the need for resources. Infrastructure, logistics, and safety are crucial for the development in the high Arctic. Longyearbyen are also developing a harbor further to expand the handling of marine activity, safety, emergency development, tourism, business, and research. Pointing to the climate change, which will make waters in the high north easier accessible, the Norwegian government also has provided us $30 million, 200 million kroner, to further develop the harbor that we will need in the future, and that we are already needing because the activity is very high as it is today. The number of vessels to the Arctic archipelago has gone up during the last years, also and especially when it comes to cruise tourism, where we see a high development in the high north. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the window of opportunity that we see. And that is the emerging opportunities in the new Arctic. And we have the experience, not the least the engineering experience, which to me is very interesting in this context. We also have the international research and education, and we have the only established infrastructure as a welfare society as well, with schools and kindergartens and that kind of thing. And we have this well-suited geographical position, as we define it at least. I'm going to show you a few examples on the activity that we have so that you'll get a picture of what we're doing. This is the development of expedition cruises for Greenland and Svalbard, and in some, and it shows that the increase is coming our way. And also, one of the things that we're proud of, IECO, the Association of Arctic Expedition Cruise Operations, are having their main office for the whole Arctic in Svalbard, which of course we like. And what they are doing is very interesting, related to the relation between tourism and environmental protection, because they are making systems and going out with researchers, actually providing all kinds of information, making sure that we take care of the tourists in a way that actually send them home as ambassadors about the climate and the knowledge that we have for the development in the north. And the sustainability and the thoroughness that they are providing is a very good way of actually dealing with this dimension from both sides. Longyearbyen, the Arctic hub. We actually have 4 airports in Svalbard, providing a world-class travel comfort and access to the high Arctic. It offers industrial possibilities and not the least research infrastructure. And this is one of the really important things. And here you see one of my favorite pictures showing a little bit also about the facts, what we have. 180 ship calls, 10,000 pax turnover, 5 cruises overseas, and charter planes and all that kind of things that are being a really important part of the development in the high north, seen from this perspective, from Longyearbyen. This is just to show you a little bit of what kind of activity we have. And also it's very relevant for both the business section, but also we see luckily a very high activity in the research shipping activity as well, which is a good thing. Okay, the Maritime North, I won't say that much about it because it's been covered quite well, but I would like to talk a little bit about the University Centre in Svalbard. This is an interesting university. It's a cooperation university. We have students from all over the world, and Svalbard being the place where we detect the climate changes first, that this university provides a unique opportunity for students all over the world to come to Svalbard and also take part of the knowledge development of the High North. And the mission is, of course, a field-based and research-based education to make sure that everyone has a hands-on feeling of the Arctic, which we are finding relevant in many situations. This is just to show you a little bit on the good networking that we have. And when it comes to development, we are not just coping in the Arctic, we're actually learning and developing the Arctic also together with all of these research institutions that we are cooperating with in very many different ways. And also this is, of course, the specifics of the research that we do. It's glaciers, it's atmospheric conditions, space physics, oceanography, terrestrial biology, marine biology, permafrost, and infrastructure. So that's kind of the competence base. Also, we have this KSAT, Kongsberg Satellite Services, who are very, very important for the development that we are doing in Svalbard. I think maybe one of the things with ASCOT and SvalSat here, we both have space and earth monitoring, and we also have the related research. This increased the knowledge potential both when it comes to oil spills, or as we would prefer, not. And also the atmospheric research, for example, tells us that the definition and forming of ice clouds has to do with the safety of GPS. So this is also looking both onto the world and outer space. We also have a global seed vault, both being part of the global food security and diversity, but actually just building the seed vault as part of the knowledge and competence that we have. And in the same way, we have a coal mining industry that are building a road over a glacier and has this special competence about building or doing mining in permafrost as well. So it's kind of a diverse activity. So this is our perspective when we are developing the society for Northerners in the North. This is the meeting between unique Arctic experience and a rapidly changing Arctic and how we are relating to that. Within mining, as I said before, the industrial engine, the technology possibilities, the knowledge and the know-how is very important for also looking into a development that will take more focus on perhaps CCO, storage, gas development, but we need the knowledge that we have and that we have built up under over 100 years for mining to actually also be able to look into a diverse energy future for the Arctic. Travel, we have a traveling growth, and also we are looking on developing several ways of taking care of visitors and making them leave us as ambassadors for the high Arctic. When it comes to research and education, one of the many things that we see, and also what relates to the harbor development that we're doing, is that we find that not only is the activity increasing, but one of the important things is that we're also developing more knowledge about the sea. And this is many things, but I want to mention the AUVs, autonomous underwater vehicles and gliders, because that's one of the instruments now in technology that are developing both access to larger areas of sea knowledge all the way to Greenland from Svalbard, and also it is providing us more data from the polar night. As you might know, there are 4 months of polar night in my area, so it's very important also to learn about how the species are reacting in the dark. When it comes to transport and logistics, we are establishing now a Svea Research Park, because what we see is that the competence that we have is very important. When you look into what we're seeing now is that Arctic preparedness provides a need for increased know-how, and also about operation, cold climate adjustability, engineering and technology. And we actually have the infrastructure and the base and the knowledge to be somewhere where we could do that as for everyone who actually needs it. And maritime services I've been talking about, and then of course safety research and rescue, which is one of the most important aspects. So to sum up shortly, we are, from a local perspective, grasping the opportunities offered by the new Arctic, creating sustainable growth through further developing the current activity that we have, and we're also developing the local society with a high level of self-confidence in the way. Thank you.